Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to a new episode of my Walk with MG Live. Here, finally got my MG sister Ticy to come on. We've been so busy, doing, our work and just putting our footprint on this world. So thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm living, so I can't complain.
Yeah, over there with the long hair, don't care.
I try.
Oh, I see that flip. Wait, I'm a flip. Well, mine in the bun. Otherwise, I would have flipped it too. But um, yeah, thank you for coming on and talking with me today. It's very, very important for us to get the information about myasthenia gravis out.
Yes, it
So,
is.
tell me your story. When were you diagnosed?
Well, I was diagnosed at age 2.5 years of age, so I was fairly young. I was born in '77, so back then things were a lot different. Medical
Hmm.
stuff was a lot different, and from my understanding, back then they didn't know much about it. So I was diagnosed at 2.5 years of age, and I want to say um, my mother started to, as far as I can remember, she started to take me around to different doctors for testing and stuff. Once she realized what it was and had a name for it, I guess they
Hmm.
had to quote unquote prove that's what it was before taking any further steps as far as insurance and stuff like that. That's
I was gonna ask you what a dog was.
that's him. Something told me to put him up, but it would have just made him bark more. He is somebody in the hallway.
Hmm. So, what made your mom, if she told you, what made her um, start taking you around to the, different specialists or trying to find a specialist to see what was going on with you? What
Um,
signs and symptoms
the
did you
first
have?
thing she told me she noticed was I didn't start walking on time, and then she said she noticed like the paleness of my skin, but my hands have always been brighter than normal, and the major thing she noticed was the droopiness of my eyelids.
Mm-hmm.
That was the thing that tipped her off because I couldn't open them unless I used my finger. That was the biggest thing that she noticed. That made her start taking me to different specialists, well, taking me to doctors and them sending her to different specialists and stuff like that. Now, as far as when I was two, I don't really know the gist of what happened, but I know
Mm-hmm.
when she realized that this was a illness that doesn't have a cure, she started to seek financial stability for my future. And that's
Mm-hmm.
when the other specialists started to come in, and she started taking me from here to Morgan City to New Orleans to Baton Rouge and places like that, and all the different testing came into play. And around that time, I want to say, as far back as I can remember, I was in my young teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
So, because she knew what it was as of young, and I experienced with other kids who had it when I was about 9.5, 10 years old. I went to a camp out in Metairie called Camp Sunshine, where there were other
Mm-hmm.
kids like me with MG and other autoimmune diseases. And from there, it just went on from there.
See, I wasn't fortunate enough to be around um other people that had MG.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I'm just a little girl, 6 years old. In my mind, it's just something that, that I had all by
Yes.
myself. But, as I got older and my mom started talking to me and things like that, that's when I found out that I have an additional family member that has it. And, just finding out, different stuff on my own,
Hmm.
like I said, as I got older. So, so the symptoms that you stated, um, with the droopiness of the eyelid. Now, you're the very first person that I've ever, encountered that said your hands, your skin was pale.
Mm-hmm.
I've never
She
heard that
always
before.
she told me that, and I'm not saying that was from MG, but that's something that was odd about me that she
Mm.
noticed because she used to tell me stories when I was young. How she used to come, like if she's coming in from work and I'm already in bed asleep, or if she's coming in from choir rehearsal and I'm already in bed asleep, she would sit by the bed and watch me sleep and look at my hands
Oh
because my
wow.
hands were lighter than my face, and she thought something was wrong. Like she thought maybe I wasn't getting enough oxygen to my body. You know,
Okay.
do say, people, some people have said energy can affect the breathing. And at this
Hmm.
time, I was approximately 8, 9, 10 years old, and still to this day, some people say my hands are still lighter than the rest of my body, but they work. So I don't really look at all the other details or whatever, but that was one of
Hmm.
the things that she noticed. And um, I can remember also from young me having breathing complications, which I always thought was basically asthmatic. But when it would come to me being sick with bronchitis or whatever, I could very, very clearly remember my mother putting me across her lap on an angle
Hmm.
and cupping her hands up in my back to help me bring up stuff from me being sick. And that wasn't just from asthma, that was also from MG, because when you have this, you can't really bring up stuff. Because later in life, see, first I was diagnosed with ocular. I just had the lids. And then later, when they did I can't think of the name of the test, but it's a test when they hook you up to all the different probes and it guys like shock treatment.
That
When they
electro,
that
it's on the tip of my tongue, but yeah, I had to go through that too.
because the girl asked me about a month or so ago had I ever had it done, and I never saw the name of it. So I was like, I ain't never heard of that. But then when I googled it, I was like, oh wait, I think I did have that done. I just never knew the name of it. So
Yeah,
once
with
they
those little bitty pins that are stuck.
yeah they kind of just hooked me up like they would do you if you're getting an EKG.
Yeah, but it's
They
they
put the
little
little
needles and they stick them
no,
in your.
well, for me, back in the day, it was the same things as if you were getting an EKG. And they would put them
Oh, okay.
on base points, like they put it in the bend of my arm, underneath my knee, they put it around my temple. Anything I could physically control, they put there, and they would shock to see what level of frequency they get or whatever it was. But when they did that, that's when they realized, okay, so she doesn't just have ocular, she has upper, lower, and ocular MG. Because
So
you can
did
just
you just
have ocular.
fully?
Yeah, I have it
Yeah,
everywhere.
because I think
It's everywhere.
that's I think that's how mine started as well, and then generalized out.
Hmm. Yeah, because my childhood was horrific.
You know, horrific how?
I was teased. I was bullied. I was made fun of. I was the different girl with the sleepy eyes. I wasn't known for sleepy eyes. I was told I was blind. But I'm like, if I'm blind, how can I tell you have on an orange shirt? I was pushed downstairs.
Oh
I had
wow.
spitballs thrown at me. My books knocked out my hand. I was coming out of history class one day. Was it history or spelling? One of them, because it's side by side. So I was coming out of one of those classes and my legs gave out. They just went down, and I went down with them. My books flew everywhere, and my old classmate, his name was Tyrone. He stopped and helped me up. Everybody else stood around and laughed. So
Oh
my
wow.
childhood wasn't good. It was so bad. The bullying for me was so bad because they teased me about my eyes. So it started in upper elementary, and about fourth or fifth grade, and from there I went to junior high, and it was so bad to a point to where suicide was on my mind when I was young a lot. I tried once when I was about about 13, 14 years old. But obviously God had other plans because I'm still here. But yeah, my upbringing was horrible. That's why when I see other kids who has it, I do my best to befriend the parents and tell them my story and tell them to ask the doctors about the sling surgery and the orbital decompression and all this, not orbital decompression, the thymectomy and all these other things that could possibly help. Because I wouldn't want to see any child go through what I went through with this illness in school. Because kids can be fairly mean when they don't know any better.
That is very true. And given the nature of society right now, they are, ooh, some of them are extremely horrible. So, what surgeries have you had or did you have? And did they benefit you leading up to now, to this point in your life?
Yeah, the first surgery I ever had was a surgery called the frontal sling. Um, I was supposed to have the frontal sling surgery, I want to say when I was about 16, 17, but I ended up pregnant. So I had to wait until after I had my son. So approximately I was about 18, 19 years old. Yeah, I was about 18 years old when I had my surgery because my
Now,
son
what
was
is
still a
that?
baby. The frontal sling. The frontal sling
Uh,
surgery is basically when they take like a silicone square shape, half a square, well not even half a square. It's like a square
mhm.
U shape silicone graft, and it's like flipped upside down, and they break an incision in your eyebrow muscle underneath the eyebrows, and they attach it to your upper lid, and they attach it to your eyebrow muscle. So when I raise my eyebrows, my eyes open, so you
So
don't
like a
droop.
lift.
Huh?
So like a lift.
Yes, it's called the frontal
Okay.
sling. And I had that done when I was 18, and that's the only time I ever had it done. I've never had it done against
Okay.
this. And you're supposed to go in, I think, like every 10 years to check it
Mhm.
and make sure it's still doing whatever it's supposed to be doing. And so far, I've never had to rehab it done.
Well, that's a blessing right there.
Yeah. And then the only other surgery I've had for MG was the thymectomy. And I had that one when I was 24. And they did find a tumor once they got in. Because when
Hmm.
they did the IV with the dye and everything, they didn't really see anything. But I
Right.
did have a lot of fatty tissue in that
Hmm.
area, which blocked them from seeing stuff. So, they talked to my mom and told it would be X amount of hours, but they can't really tell an exact number until once they get in. So I
Hmm.
want to say my mom said mine was maybe an hour, 45 minutes longer than necessary. But when they got in, they did find a tumor. Thank God it was benign, you know.
Right.
And I was about 23, 24 when I had that done, and I healed from that. I think that was the hardest surgery I ever had because I had it the old-fashioned way, where they
Straight
made an
down the
incision.
chest.
They made an incision across my throat, and then they
Oh,
went
that's what
down.
mine. Well, I didn't have. I just got that little score right there. It's like this big.
Girl, they
That's
went. You can't. I don't think you can tell because this one is almost invisible. But they went across my throat, and then they went down my chest. It's about right here. And then once they got in for the chest cavity, they went backwards. They went up the chest cavity.
ooh.
No, they went down the chest cavity and across. And they lifted.
Oh
They went
wow.
further across on this side because that's where it sits underneath the heart. And they lifted it. Is on this side of the heart. And they lifted this side up and they did whatever they had to do. And then they wired my chest back together. And I call it the gorilla tape because I didn't get stitches, which is why mine spread like it did. But it had me like this for about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. Like I
Oh
kept the
wow.
tape. And I mean, I would go through it again because after I had that surgery at the age of 26, I went into remission.
Hmm.
And I'm 43 now and I'm still there.
That's what's up. And got your hands in some of everything, ma'am.
Yeah, I have to keep myself busy. You have
That's
to,
one thing I
because
love about
with this
you.
with this
Since
illness, sometimes
talking and getting to know each other.
uh,
I say yeah. Since we get been talking and getting to know each other, just seeing how you like I said, you got your hand in some of everything, and that's the really big thing that I I appreciate watching, because even though we have this disease, we still got a life to live. That's why I
exactly.
always tell people, just it's an adjustment,
Hmm.
especially those that are newly diagnosed, because I know they see these stories, they hear these stories, they read these stories, and and probably in their mind, is this going to happen to me? Am I still going to be able to do this? Am I still going to be able to do that?
And see,
Let me
that's the one thing that they should never do. That's why see, for me, it's hard for me because um, I also have other autoimmune diseases as well, you know. So I'm what my doctors like to call a very unique patient, because not only do I have the myasthenia, I also have hypothyroidism.
mm-hmm.
Attached to that, I have Graves' disease, and I also have GERD, which is acid reflux. And then I also have low potassium, iron deficiency. All of those are considered to be autoimmune diseases.
Right.
And it's crazy because when you have low potassium, the symptoms of low potassium is almost identical to MG,
Yeah,
because
because it kind of makes you weak.
you get the weakness, you get the spasms and stuff like that. But if your myasthenia is not under control, you're not going to know which is which. The only thing different is if your potassium is low, it could affect your heart in the sense of you can have a heart attack. I don't
Yeah.
know if MG can do that. I know it can make you weak, but I've never heard of you having that type of a problem with MG. To my
Neither
knowledge,
have I.
that's what I'm
Yeah, I
saying.
haven't either.
That's the biggest thing. But I try my best to stay as busy as I can, because when you have these illnesses, when you're young, it's no big deal. You know, when I was younger, my mother realized that that was no cure for my illness, and it may compromise me actually having a life and getting a job and all that good stuff. And she ventured out and she got disability from me. And when you are growing up as a child with your own income and you hit 18, 19, and it's yours, it's all good. You know, life is great. Then as you
Mm.
get older and you want more things and that little bit of income ain't enough, you develop other situations like depression and anxiety,
We were
because
just talking about that.
you're always at home, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So me being at home, and then COVID done brought her ass here, and she don't seem like she leaving to go nowhere. She done
Oh
come
my
through
God.
She done come through and found where her cousins, the flu, pneumonia, and all of them live, and she done settled in and made her a new home in the States. She like it here too much. So it's
Girl,
like
you was crazy.
now, my mama them tell me the same thing. Like, where do you get this from? Man, look, I don't
Hey, but
want
hey, you ain't
her
lying though.
cousins. I want her cousins, her auntie, her great
Mm-mm.
nephew, the common cold. I don't want none of them. I
I know
no.
that's right.
I have a sign on my door. It's the black girl with a fro. She has a mask, and her hand is like this. And
Like,
underneath,
stop.
I wrote "no mask," and it says "stop" in red letters. It says "no mask, no entry." The
I
only
know
person
that's
who can come here without a mask on is my granddaughter. And when she gets to a point where she'll keep it on, I'm gonna get on one too. Cause children got nerves. Jesus, no.
Mm-mm.
But
Girl, it's crazy.
you have to remain busy, because if you don't, when you sit on social media, and I am a social media nerd, I stay on it. And when you watch all these other people doing all these things that you want to do, but don't know how and really financially can't afford to, you know, it can
You
get
gotta
depressing.
come up with.
Yeah, it can get depressing. I don't live at home with my mama. I don't have the privilege of having my entire check to myself. I got rent and bills. So I
Yeah.
can't take money out of my check, which is like taking food out of my mouth to go venture off into some business to own of my own. So I tap into other things and I do network marketing other ways, like with me doing the wine and me writing my book. If not for me being able to do it on Amazon the way they do it, I would have never been able to do that. Because
Mm-hmm.
to get a publisher, these
Girl,
people
don't even
they are
start.
scanning you. Because I saw in a group where this guy had put up a quote he got for publishing his book, and it had over 1,000 people underneath there telling him no publisher is going to ask you for money to publish your book. You shouldn't have to pay for that. But there are so many other people who are marketing that way. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're not supposed to pay them to do it. They're supposed to do it and take a percentage off of what you make. That's how it
Right.
goes, you know. But you gotta stay busy, because if you don't stay busy, you know, I
Your
can't speak
mind
for all
wanders. Idle
people.
mind.
Yes, in the African American community, I've always heard in the in the churches, Baptist churches, the idle mind is the devil playground. That's his workshop.
It is.
That's where he get his best work done.
It
And
is.
I'm sorry, but that's Corona Daddy. He can't live here. She come from him. That's one of his little minions, and they're not
Girl.
welcome. So I try to stay as busy as I can. I try to keep all negativity away from me. If you're not spitting nothing positive, I don't want to talk.
Yeah, you gotta keep your environment
As peaceful as
balanced. Yeah, and I mean because stress is one of our triggers. So why? I just be looking at people like, why? I
yeah, I
don't
look
I
at
don't
it like
have
this.
time for it.
Exactly. Like people come to me for advice. Like this is one girl I talked to. You know, she doesn't have image or anything like that. She was an author at one point in time, and then she does like she used to do book covers and stuff like that for other people, and just for herself, you can get pre-made book covers. And her and a couple of other people have always asked me, how is it that you remain so positive after everything you've been through? And honestly, only way I can answer that question is, but God, because I don't even know.
Yeah. Like,
I
cause I've
honestly,
been asked, like, you know, being young with it and then coming to and you know, growing up to the point where I am now, looking at a lot of the stuff that we see, especially in our MG Facebook support groups.
mm-hmm.
I can honestly say like 97, 98% of the stuff that I've seen everybody go through, I have, by the grace of God, I have not experienced. And I'm
I haven't
grateful
been
for that.
through any of that.
Yeah.
I've only had the two surgeries I mentioned, and I was on methadone for a short time. Once I had the thymectomy done, excuse me. Once I had that done, they took me off. Years passed. I want to say I was in my late 30s, and I was put in a hospital because my body was rejecting all of my medicine. And it wasn't because of any of my illness, it was because of who I was with. I was overstressed and my body was shutting
Wow.
down. And the way they figured it out was he came to the hospital to be with me, and my stress level went up. And they pulled him outside to talk to me and told me I need to ask him to leave. Girl, what is that?
Um. mm,
What is
Okay.
that?
Nothing. We had a
Okay.
interruption, but we all right.
They told me they pulled him out the room to talk to me, and they said, "Well, we're going to have to ask him to leave because your stress level goes up when he comes in the room." So because
That's
of
just
that,
setting off all kind of stuff for you.
yes. So because of that, when I was in there for like a week and a half, and when I went home, they had put me back on the myasthenia. Now, mind you, I hadn't taken that medicine since I was about 27. I'm in my late 30s, And I said, okay, well, maybe it was a myasthenic crisis, and I've never had one, so I don't know. So I went ahead and I
Right.
started taking it. So I took one day. I'm sitting in a nail shop with my mama, and it was the same thing I used to take before, a 60 milligram tablet twice a day. And all of a sudden, I couldn't move my mouth.
Oh
I started to
wow.
feel it flutter. And when I turned back around in the chair, and she asked me for my hand, I couldn't raise my hand. And my mom was
Mm.
like, "You okay?" I said, like that. And I just sat there for a second. I closed my eyes and I just started praying. I'm like, God, what is going on? And then it passed. And I thought about it. And I pulled out my phone because here in Louisiana, we have something called the My Chart app. And it's connected
Yeah,
to
we
all the
have it too.
hospitals. Yeah, all the hospitals. So I immediately emailed my doctor and I told him, I cannot take this medicine no more. And when I told him, he asked me who put me on it. And I said, I forget the doctor's name, but I was just recently in the hospital like a week and a half. And when he looked it up, he said, "You're not supposed to be on this. You're still in remission. Because when you go into a remission, methadone does to you the opposite of what it's supposed to do.
Now, see,
So
I didn't get that.
when you're not taking it and you have a strong case of MG, your muscles are weak. You can't use your fingers. You can barely use your lips. You can't chew. That's what it does when you don't need it.
See, I didn't go through that. I was in remission over 22 years. I want to say I may have taken it before, like once or twice or something, but I never had the like the reverse feeling weakness,
And that was
things
because
like
they
that.
put me on it without questioning me or asking me whether or not I was still taking it. But that's because it was still in the system as if it was something I was on. And to be honest, and I don't want nobody to do this because MG is so different for everybody. When I was
Right.
supposed to be taking it, I wasn't taking it because I took it for the first 6 months like they told me to. But after a while, I would take it for like a month and I would stop. I
But that
didn't
was
feel
just
the
something that
difference.
you want that you
Yeah, because I needed to see you putting all
what
this trash in me. I need to see if there's a difference. And
yeah.
prior to me take that was no difference. I didn't feel anything. I didn't really start having issues with my MG until after I had my son.
A lot of people are starting to have issues or get that diagnosis of MG after pregnancy, and I've really been paying attention to that.
Yeah, because
But
they
that's for
they
another
told my mom that it wasn't in my best interest to get pregnant. But I
that's
wouldn't
what
try
my mom
to.
told me that they
Yeah,
told her.
I wouldn't try
Mhm.
to try. I was just being nasty. That's all. Oops. I was a
Girl,
young child.
I'm
I
not
was a
finna.
young child being wild, girl. And after the fact, she tells me, "Well, the doctor told me that they told you that. You
They
didn't
didn't
report
tell
that
me
information to me.
that.
Yeah, you didn't tell me that part, but probably wouldn't have mattered anyway. But I was
You a
acting out.
mess.
I wanted to have my way and do what I wanted to do, and well, now I have a 25-year-old. But
Mm-mm.
and I'm blessed. I thank God because I can't have any more now. you know. So I'm
Mm.
I'm blessed for him, and that's my lifeline right there. But
That's
it's
what's
just
up.
it was a freak thing that happened, and he told me to stop taking them and flush them and don't take them no more. But that was the only thing that I've ever had to do besides the two surgeries. I've never had IVIG. I've never had to get plasma. I haven't been through any of those things. And to be
Mm.
honest, I'm gonna tell you what I found out about the IVIG and the plasma. I was in a group for autoimmune diseases, and it wasn't just for MG. It was for MG. It was for lupus. It was for thyroid, all that. And I was going in to have orbital decompression, and that's the surgery you have when you have Graves' disease. Graves'
Mm-hmm.
disease is an extension of thyroid disease that causes the
Right.
muscles behind the eye to swell, pushing the eyeball
Right.
forward. So when I was in that group, that's when I started to find out more stuff. That was back in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
I was born with MG.
Yeah,
2012.
I had never heard of it until 2015
That
when I
was the
came out of remission.
2012 was the first time I ever heard of IVIG or plasma.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even say the
Me
word.
too.
That's the first time I had ever
Plasmapheresis,
heard of that.
plex, yeah.
And I started to dig more into it, and the more I dug into it, the better I felt, because I started to understand why so many people came at me with such hatred. I am not in any MG group. I'm in one, and it's an MG group for African American people. All them other ones, I left. If I didn't leave, I was put out, because these girls, and it was just women. I never had issues with men, but these women had so much hatred for me because I was always dropping prayers, sending funny memes, trying to bring positivity to the group, telling them to look at the brighter side of the rainbow. I'm in remission. You can be too. But they didn't want. It's like they didn't want to hear that. It's like they had. Look, they got my house. They didn't went through, I guess, so much till they just didn't have faith anymore.
Any hope.
Yeah, and some were atheists, so it was no talking to them. I can't fool with them because I'm not. I have much faith in God. Because I feel like if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. I've attempted taking my life one too many times to know and understand that he gotta be real.
I understand.
From going through having myasthenia and being bullied in school, going through family issues in my house with my parents, going through having a child, girl, abusive relationships, being raped. I wanted my life to end a long time ago. I wasn't going to sit there and be in a group where I'm trying to bring positivity to people and you bashing me, telling me I'm bragging because I'm in remission and you're not. That's not me bragging. That's me trying to make you understand that anything is possible. I went through remission way back when they cracking chests open. They don't do that no more. I told one of my friends,
Right.
I said, "You so lucky." She was like, "How?" I said, "Cause you got a few pokes in your side, girl. They cracked my whole chest open." I said, "Do you understand how much pain I was in, girl? If I blink wrong, I hurt."
Yeah, I
That was,
get it.
girl. That was ooh. From me having that surgery to having, um,
That's
excuse
the
you,
dog.
you okay over there?
Is the dog okay? Do I need to call Peter?
Is you, is you okay? You drunk that water too fast and you puked a little bit up or something? Like, do I need to do CPR? Come on,
Girl,
come on.
look, dude, we gotta pause the video for a minute.
Uh-uh. You just want you want some computer time too, some phone time. But
Mm-mm.
it's like they just had so much animosity in them and so much anger and frustration. I guess they figure they don't know me, so I'm gonna take it out on her.
Yeah, I've seen some
I
different
just, I just
things,
love I
and
love the groups, and it's like after a while, it also got to a point to where I felt like, should I say this? Because I don't want to seem mean.
no, we'll just leave
It's
that
no,
where it is.
it's a lot of groups where I find people blame their illness for a lot of stuff that they shouldn't. I'm gonna just say that.
Yeah, that's something for a whole different topic.
That's a whole different conversation. But
Yeah, but I understand.
I try my best to be as positive as I can, and they wasn't accepting of it. So I just left. I left the groups. I would leave the groups, and some of the people that were in the groups would come looking for me, like, "Oh my God, I miss seeing your posts, and I miss seeing your funny face. I miss seeing the goofy things you would do. Like if they'll have a crazy filter on Snapchat, I would like the one with the
Hmm.
big mouth and the squeaky voice. I would be like, okay, hey guys, I hope y'all having a blessed day, whatever, whatever. And I would post it in the group, and they found that comical. Because when you at
You
home,
have to find some. You have to find some sort of
especially for the older people
silver
who are,
lining in something.
yeah, old
Yeah,
enough
I
to be
get it.
our mom or grandma, and they can't get out, they can't drive, they can't walk. They found that comical, and it helped their mental. So I was happy to do that. But then they got the other ones. This group ain't meant for prayers. Prayers are supposed to be between you and God. Baby, prayers are for everybody, and they're meant to be everywhere. If it's gonna help uplift somebody, I'm gonna pray in here all day. But then here come the admins when it's like, well, we can't have this and we can't have. I say, you know what? I'm gonna just do y'all a favor and I'll leave.
Sometimes, and I know that many of us have come across different ones, when situations like that occur. I know that I have, and I had to kindly and respectfully,
Wow.
inform them, although I do have this disease does not define me. And I'm
Exactly.
not, and I didn't like you say, you didn't want to, sound mean or anything like that. And I hope I didn't come off mean. But I told them, I said, who told you, you can't do this and you can't do that? If that's something I think that, if you think you can't, you won't, so. And
Exactly.
when we were young, coming up in school, we were always told, if you know you can, do it. So if you want something, go after it, do it, handle your business, don't let this disease stop you. And that's one thing that I've always said, I've always promoted, I say to everybody. And I'm a living witness to it. I do what I want because I that's what I want to do. I don't want this disease to just break me down and things like that. Now, don't get me wrong, I do
Sit.
have my little moments. And back then, I had my grieving process, but my faith is what got me through it. And
Mm-hmm.
it still gets on my nerves, but I'm just gonna keep
Yes, it
pushing,
does
and I'm gonna keep
because
living anyway.
yeah, because it's like I have a great aunt and I have a cousin, and they both feel the same way when it comes to me because they feel like I'm so intelligent. I have so much knowledge. They feel like, why is she letting it go to waste? My cousin
But
got
who
mad at me
said you
one
are
time.
though?
That's what I'm saying, because see, they feel like because I'm not making a profit, because I'm not out there. If you knock this ring light over, we're gonna fight. You're getting too close. Back up. Come over here.
And
Move.
everything, we'll figure, those things out,
I
as
feel like okay, so
we go on.
I have a double bachelor's in business and psychology. And they feel like because I'm not physically out working in the world, it's going to waste. And I have to explain to them it's not, you know,
Right, you
God
doing
made
using
God
it
made
in a
me,
different way.
yeah, he gave me the ability to push through college. Even though I was going online, I went through 2 surgeries while I was in school. And
Girl,
I
look,
refused to stop going to school. I went through the first one, which was the orbital decompression, and I went to school and I only had one eye. I was only able to use this one because this one was all swole and I didn't stop. I wish I could find a picture my son took of me when I went through the hospital and my body was rejecting my medicine. I had a final. I had a 14-page paper to write. I'm sitting in the hospital, papers everywhere. And my son took my picture and called me a OG because she in here sick and she's still getting work done. She's still handling business. I have a
you
son.
have to.
I
You
cannot,
have
I cannot fail or not complete something because he watching me.
to. Girl,
I'm
look.
43, he's 25, he still watches me to this day.
Right. My son, that's how I see it with my son. So 2000, well, early 2013, I think March or something. I want to say that was the last one of the last times I was in the hospital. I was getting plasmapheresis, plex. And I figured out this is what I was going to end up doing. And then I just so happened, I said, you know what, I need to finish my bachelor's, get my bachelor's degree. I signed up for school in the middle of my plex treatment. And the rep, she was asking me questions. She said, can you say that again? I can't hear you. And after everything was done, I said, thank you for being so patient with me. I'm actually in the hospital receiving a treatment, but I needed to get in school. Girl, I could hear her mouth drop on the phone.
Mm.
It's just stuff that when you want it, you'll get
When you're
it.
hungry,
No matter what the circumstance. Exactly. And I was hungry for it. And
it was some motivational speaker. What is that guy's name? He's a black guy. What is his name? I
there's
can't call his
quite a
name.
few of them.
I want to say he was a basketball coach or something back when he was teaching, but now he goes around
Oh,
and
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name either.
he dresses down. He goes to schools, and
I
he's
know
the
who you're talking
average
about.
guy you would see in the street. And he always, when he says hungry, he sounds like a tiger. He said, "You got to be hungry for it. If you ain't hungry for it, you don't want it."
Yeah. And I just wanted to, set an example, not only for myself, but set an example for my son. You can get through
Exactly.
life however, with the tools and the resources that you have. And I make sure I let him know that.
I
So,
tell my son that too to this day, because when he was 14, his dad was incarcerated and he did 10 years. And I had to be the backbone for him. And I had to make
yeah,
him understand that regardless of what life throws at you, you can't stop. You can't give.
exactly.
And I had
And
to be that light. I had to make him understand that there is a good way and there's a bad way to handle business. You have two
you
examples.
always got to
Which
do the
one are you
good
going to
way.
follow? You
Yeah.
know, and
That's what I tell my baby. He's
he
12.
saw the fast life of money. He saw how you get out there and you hustle and you make quick money and stuff like that. But I said you also seen your friends fall off one by one.
Quick money
You know,
go quick. And it's not the
I look
quick
at it
money
like
is
this.
quick money to
I look at it like this. When you live that life, you die by that life.
me. Yeah.
And that is not the life I wanted for him. And I did what I had to do to make sure that he didn't end up in that life. He
And
tried me.
he saw how hard you fought and
He
everything.
tried me a few times. He even asked me when he was like 16 years old. He asked 15 or 16. He said, "Mama, you were serious when you told me if I was to go out there and hustle, you would put me out." I said, "Boy, you'll be sleeping in your girlfriend's car. Because illegal activity don't happen in my house.
I
If
know that's
if
right.
that's the way you want to make your money, you have to find you somewhere else to live."
Look, what you say? I already got too much stuff going on. I ain't trying to add nothing
No,
else. No
it's not just
drugs
it
doing no.
wasn't even that. It wasn't even that. It's just the simple fact that, excuse my language, but I bust my ass all these years to raise you to be respectable towards life in general. For you to go throw it away on some quick cash that's going to have you dead or in prison. Because if you go to jail, I ain't come and see you. You free.
That's
Stay that way.
no, I get it. I
You have
absolutely get
choices. You have choices in life. I was told, I want to say, I was told this by an older person, and I also heard Steve Harvey say it in his motivational. I've heard a bunch of people. You have choices. You have the right choice, mediocre choice, a bad choice. I even heard it on the movie Freedom Riders. There's always a choice.
it. Yeah,
No, not Freedom
absolutely.
Riders. Dangerous Minds with Michelle Pfeiffer. You always have a choice. There are no victims in this classroom. That's what
That's
she
one of
said.
my favorite movies.
Yes, God. It may not be the choice that you like, but you always have a choice. And one
Yeah,
of the boys was like, well, when we don't get on the bus, we stand a chance of selling drugs or dying. But then we get on the bus, we got to come to a school that don't care nothing about us. It's still a choice.
yeah. Either right or wrong.
You're not going to school for people to like you. You want to school to get your education. Period.
Yeah.
There's always a choice in life. And for me, to be honest, I never felt like I had a choice, because there's no other way for me to be. I don't know how to be any other way. I don't know how to be the goofy, blunt, straight up, to the like it is person that I am. I've been this way since I was 10. You can ask my mama. I don't know how to be no other way. I've been bopped in the mouth so many times because my mama told me I was a smart aleck, and she said, "Oh, you're just too flip. You're too damn flip." I'm like, I'm not flipping. I'm standing still. See what I'm saying? She's too smart, Anthony. She's too smart. That's my daddy's name. I don't know how to be any other kind of way. My dad says I get it from my great grandma, Grandma Cora, rest in peace. But I don't know how to be any other way. I'm
Well,
smart.
I appreciate you being the way you are because I have definitely gained a friend in with dealing with MG and outside of MG. So I definitely appreciate you. But coming to an end, what would be um, some empowering words that you would um, give to the MG community? Because we didn't touch base on all kind of stuff. This is one of the
Yeah.
real one of our most real cutthroat, I won't in raw interviews. So I definitely appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Well, I feel like, I was kind of contemplating back and forth how I was going to present myself because I know you have people from all ages watching these interviews. They may not comment, but they watch it,
Right.
especially on Facebook. So I didn't want to come on and not be myself, but I didn't want to come on here and be too much of myself. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just be me. And if I
That's all
get too
right.
much away, she gonna tell me. But something that I would say to the MG community is just be you. Don't let anybody tell you what you can and can't do, including doctors, because they don't even know everything. If I would listen to my doctors and saying that I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And the doctor that diagnosed me, may he rest in peace, Dr. Garcia from LSU in New Orleans, said the most faithful words I live by today. If you don't use your muscles, you're gonna lose them.
That's
That
true.
ain't to say go out there and run a 1K mile. That means you get up and you move 10 to 15 minutes a day. Like there's a guy that I follow on Facebook. He's a bodyweight champion. He lift weights. He got
He
muscles.
MG, right?
Yes, he
I
won.
follow him on Facebook, and I think it's another one on Instagram. They are so inspiring.
And then there's another girl. She doesn't have MG. She has asthma real bad. Her name is Jessica something. This girl lifts weights. Her body is sickening. As a young girl I follow, she does yoga. She does the lifts and the flips, and she's MG.
Yeah,
The only reason why I feel a lot of people who are who
you
are
got to
who have
see her.
faces that aren't bad is because they get in their mind. They get stuck in their head too much. So you got to get out of your mind and get up, get out, and do something.
I
Anything,
understand.
anything
Live.
physical. Because
Just
I
live.
used to do the meditation yoga once a week till before COVID, and it was just meditation, and it makes you feel so good.
Yeah, the stretching, and
No, it wasn't even that. It was just the
it's one
straight
that
laid back meditation, and they
yeah,
play
it's
the
one that
bowls.
I've done with
They
meditation,
do the
and I
bowls.
stretched and all of that.
They do the bowls, and when you lay back and you just breathe and you let all that negativity go and you listen to them bowls ring in your ear, you go to
Hmm.
sleep. But when you wake up, you feel so light and so refreshed. She even tell you, get up slow because you're gonna be a little dizzy. But it's just so relaxing.
Oh,
But
I
my
know.
advice, my advice would be anything you think of you want to do, go for it. If you need help, the MG community, my Walk with MG community, MG Foundation in your area, we are huge. We're
We
everywhere.
are. We
MG
are.
United. That was new to me. The documentaries they're doing. We're everywhere, and we're beginning to be seen more and more. So there
Yes.
is help out there wherever you are. You just gotta step forth, take that first
Yeah.
step, and let God do the rest.
I know that's right.
And if you don't have faith, you gotta find some. Whether it's God, Buddha, you gotta get some faith from somewhere. And don't
I
let your
understand.
family stop letting your family tell you that you're lazy. Stop letting your family get into your head and tell you, well, if you just lose weight or if you do this, you'll be better. Because they don't live in your body and they don't know what you go through. A lot of people listen to their family members tell them, oh, well, you just lazy. You need to lose some weight. You don't have what they say you have. They could
That's
be
not it.
Girl, I told one girl, I said, next time your sister tell you that you lazy, send her to me.
Don't you? Why you tell that girl that?
I told her, tell her inbox me. I'm gonna deal with her. Because I don't like that because you cannot put your mouth on something you know nothing about.
That's true.
Don't call me telling me about having a panic attack if you ain't never had one.
That's true.
Even if you're a doctor, if you've never experienced it, don't tell me what to do, how to handle it.
Can't
Because you
tell
don't know
me
what
how to be. Yep. That is very, very true. It is so many. Yeah, we're gonna have to come back and touch on that one. Actually, I got plans for that. With the last part that you said. So, but I do want to close this interview out with saying adjust, and after you finish adjusting, go
adapt.
and live your life.
You have to adjust, and then once you adjust, you rearrange, and then you adapt.
Yeah, you learn. You just
We're
be learning
humans.
yourself.
We're mammals, and we are built to adapt to every situation we're put in.
I agree.
So
I definitely agree. So thank you again, my girl, for coming on and speaking with me. Like I said, this is one of the our very first where we got just deep into all kind of stuff. But I just wanted to um, bring you on and you touch base on your journey. And from then to now with MG. And like I said, I appreciate you so much. I'm so grateful that we have connected. I cannot wait until what you say, Corona and her cousins get up out of here.
girl,
So we can,
I want to ask you one more thing. What do you feel? What are your views towards the vaccine?
me, that is definitely a personal preference.
I ain't
As
getting
long
it.
as you get I'm trying to be politically correct right now, and you just
I'm
don't.
speaking for
I'm not getting
me.
it. Okay, so
Well,
my
okay.
person
How you say it?
personally,
How do you say it? Not FYI. What you say? Oh God, I can't think of the little thing like, don't try this at home. I ain't getting it.
no, you
I'm
just oh my
scared.
god, I'm trying to be
I'm being
professional.
blunt. I'm scared. So no.
So this is the thing with me and this vaccine. Like I said, it's a personal preference. Um, until I see data on that. Oh, I'm sorry, on that vaccine being given to people with compromised immune systems, I'm probably going to um, not step up to the plate to get it now.
You
If
know, they need to
if
show
I
somebody
do,
what we got.
okay,
Because the reason why I say it like that, and I'm gonna let you close out, is because they can show someone who get it who has lupus, and they do fine with it. But
yeah,
lupus is different.
all of it. Yeah, like I said, it's a until I see statistics and other results with people with compromised immune systems get it. I'm gonna watch it from afar and
We're
just
gonna study it like we study
keep
everything
right
else.
and just keep in close, communication with my medical team and just pretty much go from there. But
Yep.
y'all trying to be all professional. Who you go?
You
You
should have
supposed
known
to do
better.
it.
You should have known better than that.
I know.
Look, I'm gonna say like this lady I follow on Instagram. Her name is Imani Van Zap. This is not no interview, girl. This is a late night conversation, girl. Stop.
Well, we have to cut. Wait, we'll be. I'm gonna close it out. Thank you once again for coming on, and you definitely will be back after the new year because I got some, um, some more things to throw out into the world, and
No
just
problem.
getting NG education and everything else out there. So thanks again, and we will talk to you all later.